Anti-heroes are amazing. They can usually show different aspects of our main characters rather than the usual good to be good trope, which could actually make the story a lot more interesting. It all comes down to execution though, and the payoff after that as well, and if the character is able to come strong after that, I'm sure you would see a well-written character that would intrigue readers and watchers more into the story. I mean, I've always been driven to like anti-heroes more than our main heroes anyway. Venom, Red Hood, Wolverine, Kratos, and Vegeta are some I can name that I've loved more than most comic book, manga, and video game character tropes, and the payoff and execution they get are really well done in a very unique way. But what really makes anti-heroes good in general as a whole? Is it the super edgy designs they get, or the way they're able to spill more blood than our ordinary main characters? I'm going to be using Eren Yeager, Lelouch v Britannia, and Guts as examples on how anti-heroes are dealt with, and also explaining what really makes a good anti-hero as well. This video will contain spoilers for each individual character I named, so you can skip the characters you haven't seen if you haven't witnessed their story yet. When it comes to these three characters I have chosen, there is a reoccurring theme of having to overcome and becoming a greater person, or walking down the line of sacrifice. I've always admired these themes even before witnessing their characters, which is the reason why I have chosen them as examples for this video. So right before I actually do get into this topic, subscribe if you haven't, hit the like button and turn on bell notifications. Now without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so the first person I'm going to be talking about comes from my second favorite anime and manga, and is also my favorite protagonist in manga, Eren Yeager. Eren is a tough character to tell if he's really an anti-hero or the actual villain of the story. I guess it all depends on how the watcher or reader views their goals, and they can try and decide if they're rooting for Eren or against him. Personally, I find him more of an anti-hero instead of a villain. Eren may have selfish goals, but those selfish goals would actually benefit the people of his island and would actually save them as well. We all know Eren is doing what he does for his ideal freedom, and as an anti-hero, we see him move forward on through the different troubles he comes across even if his own friends are involved. He's cunning, murderous, ruthless, but he is also not heartless. Eren is a flawed human being who has been forced to make very tough decisions that would later make a huge impact on the world he lives in. But that actually makes us sympathize and understand why he's doing what he is doing in the manga at the moment. But what really made him turn into this anti-hero character? Eren was pretty much a person who wanted to kill all of the Titans at the start of the series. This already tells us he has always been the person he is today, murderous. But the only difference back then was that he was filled with rage, anger, and determination, which blinded him into thinking he was the hope of humanity once he had found out he was a Titan shifter, only to later on find out certain circumstances caused him to have humanity's hope inside of him, making him not the special being he had always thought he was. Later he finds out a lot more shocking things to add to his damaged mind, finally knowing that there was a whole nother world upon his one, and that world was out to destroy his. Eren had accepted that and he knew what to do, and that thing he had to do was something no ordinary hero would accept. If someone is willing to take away his freedom, he won't hesitate to take away theirs. He has always been that way since he was born. The Titans tried to take away his freedom, his own friends who betrayed him tried to take away his own freedom, and now the whole world is trying to take away his freedom. And now sadly, he must take away theirs. Eren is a very interesting anti-hero who also has the theme of freedom inside of him, adding on to his compelling points that makes up his character. I love Eren's character a lot, and I'm glad he's the protagonist of Attack on Titan. From his development to him revealing he was the mastermind over Grisha stealing the founding Titan, and to him moving forward until all of his enemies are destroyed was written so well, and I hope his character gets a nice conclusion in the ending of AOT. So let's move on to another favorite anti-hero of mine who has been written in a way that has been compelling from start to finish. Lelouch v Britannia. Lelouch is a character of loss, anger, and determination. He's a very different anti-hero from the usual ones. He doesn't work alone but makes a group of people who supports his same ideals, which actually causes different problems for him as well, as having the burden of a group to lead. His vengeance leads him down a path of bloodshed, and he eventually comes to realize what the world actually is. From this, it's his goal to change it into the ideal world his sister would have wanted. But the way Lelouch did this was that he created a mask of rebellion. A mask that would be made to rival the whole of Britannia, and side with the terrorists as well. He would need to defeat evil by becoming an even greater evil. As an anti-hero, he was vicious yet kind, merciless yet comforting, and a person who kept secrets from the people he was out to protect. Lelouch had all of these problems with being a student, leader, and royalty, yet he still tried to move forward with his flaws, and the way it shows this is really human. Anti-heroes aren't perfect, which makes them even more human and relatable and a lot more interesting. Lelouch's end at the conclusion was very commendable. He takes all of the problems and burdens, not only that's within himself, but all that's in the world, and being a true king to sacrifice himself for the world's sake. The path that led him to this end may seem unpleasant, but that's the cost of him being one of the greatest anti-heroes up to date in anime and manga. So the final character that we're going to be talking about that has caught my eye of being one of the best anti-heroes up to date, and a perfect example of a great written one, Geass from Berserk. Geass is amazing. His whole journey is amazing. His whole dynamics are amazing. His entire life has been nothing but struggling, but he succeeds in overcoming that struggle and continues his path to his eventual goals. As an anti-hero, Geass has been shown to actually be kind at sometimes, protective, inspirational, but be a bloodthirsty beast filled with unbearable rage. But the way he matures and grows in this series is a sight to behold, and a perfect example of how an anti-hero is done right. He's not entirely edgy for the whole of the series, he doesn't stray away from everyone else to be alone and brood by himself, but he finds out what's his goal in life after the event that had happened to the Band of the Hawks, and grows from that to become a better person than he was before. He shows suffered humanity, and even though he's been beat up, betrayed, and violated, he still wants to live, he still wants to survive, and he keeps going in life because he just won't succumb to death and let it defeat him. He will beat it by overcoming life's problems that get thrown at him. His flaws don't push him down, but mature him to make him grow and develop in the harsh reality he faces, only for him to use that development to finally find comfort. I hope we get to see Geass' journey end one day, but unfortunately Miura is a bit slow on Berserk chapter releases, so we won't know for a long time on how Geass' character concludes. So all three of these characters are some of my favorite examples of anti-heroes in anime and manga. There's more, but I've decided to go with these ones at best. Their ideals, struggles, and hopes in life are a sight to see, and the way they combat against the problems they face grows them in a well-written way. I think the reason why anti-heroes appeal to a huge majority of people is that they aren't perfect. They have flaws just like us, and the way they move on with those flaws is inspirational. And the paths that lead them to do this is very unique and different than the ordinary perfect hero. They also get some of the coolest and sickest moments in anime and manga, which adds to their characters a lot. These characters are some of the most understanding and caring people to be with, but they do have a dark side, and when they show it, it gives us some of the most shocking scenes ever. I think that's where I'm going to end it off for today. Hopefully you did enjoy, and if you did, make sure to comment down below some more video suggestions. Thanks so much for getting me to 700 subscribers. I just can't wait to go for 1k and more. So like always, subscribe if you're new, hit the like button, and turn on bell notifications. It's been Endless Requiem. Peace.